Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss one very important combinations in astrology, which is Jupiter and Rahu combination. It is considered like one of the very dreaded combinations. If somebody has, astrologers generally say that your Jupiter is spoiled and it is a guru-chandal yoga, right? Because Rahu is a Mlecha planet. It is a Mlecha means outcast, and it's also demonic planet. You see, when demons and demigods, they were churning the ocean, that time when the nectar came, so there was a dispute. First of all, Dhanvantari, he came with the nectar in a nectar pot, and these demons, they snatched away this nectar and they started fighting amongst themselves. They started saying aham purvam, first me, first me. So the demigods, they were actually, that demigods means the devatas, they were actually instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, that whenever this nectar comes, you do not fight for it, and he will make arrangement, So immediately he had taken a Mohini Murti incarnation and he cheated all these demons. When Mohini Murti came inside the arena, that time the demons, they started looking towards her very lustily because she was very, very beautiful. And they started asking her so many questions. Who are you? Who's your father? Are you married? These kind of questions. So we can understand their intentions. Of course, at least they wanted to get married. And everybody was very excited. And this Mohini Murti was also very smart. I mean, clever, because she was Supreme Personality of Godhead. So she was looking towards everyone as if she is caring only for that person. So all these demons, they actually got totally mesmerized, and they gave her the nectar pot and they told, you please distribute amongst us. And she said, I may cheat. They said, no, we have full faith on you. So what she would do, she made all the demons sit in one line. And then she said, all the demigods also sit in one line. So she would give nectar to the demigods, but at the same time, she would only show a glance, a side glance towards the demons. And these demons, just by looking at her side glance, they would get totally mesmerized. And they were not caring. They forgot about the nectar. Like that, they cheated. I mean, Mohini Murti cheated all the demons and gave full quantity of nectar to demigods. In those demons, there was only one demon named Rahu who was able to understand who this Mohini Murti was. He was actually able to understand this is not some very a beautiful lady of this material world. She is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. So he could recognize, and he sat in the line of the demigods, disguised as a demigod. And, sat between moon and sun and moon, Surya and Chandra. So what happened when the Mohini Murti came? She gave nectar to Rahu. Now please understand that Mohini Murti is the super soul. She is Lord Vishnu. She is the super soul in each and every living entity's heart. Will he not know who was sitting there? So Vishnu already knew that Rahu was sitting there. That's the part of the Leela. And still Vishnu gave the nectar to this Rahu. And Rahu drank it. But before he could drink it, he could gulp it down through his throat. Sun and moon, they recognized. They were sitting beside. And they immediately told Lord Vishnu, this is a demon. So Lord Vishnu, that means Mohini Murti, changed her form and took the disc, Sudarshan Chakra, and cut the head of Rahu. So Rahu could not swallow the nectar. And because of it, what happened? Because he actually touched the nectar, he also became immortal. He also could not die. Now the head was cut. So head was alive and the body was also alive. So head we know it as Rahu, and the lower portion is actually Ketu. So now if you see this story, you can derive so many lessons from this story about astrology, apart from the spiritual part of this story. First of all, Rahu had the power to recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This much knowledge, this much distinction, this much observational power Rahu had. And Rahu had the courage to go and sit amongst the demigods in the disguised form. And also he was fortunate to get the mercy of the Lord Vishnu, who gave him the nectar. And he was punished by the Lord also for his mischievous act. But because he touched this nectar, so he was very fortunate, and he got this position as a planet who controls all the living entities. Some portion of your life, Rahu also controls. Now, Rahu and Ketu, if you see, Rahu has head, but no body. And Ketu has body, but no head. So Rahu is always hungry. Hungry to eat, to gulp, to swallow. But because there is no body below this head, so this hunger is infinite, right? Whatever goes down, there is no digestive system to digest it. It just goes down, it gulps. And this desire never gets fulfilled because there is no body. And Ketu is only body. So Ketu gets the food, but there is no source known for this food. I'm saying food, it is also the desires. So Ketu, without head, so Ketu will not be able to think through head. Ketu has to depend on intuition. Because it doesn't have, we have the perceiving senses are eyes and ears, a nose, and tongue. So we can understand, what's going on around here. If we close our eyes and close our ears and mouth and our nose also, we'll not be able to actually perceive everything else. Only skin, the sense of touch will remain. But all other senses will be shut. They will totally close down. So the person has to depend on intuition. Like when a person is blind, you will find they will have a better sense, better sixth sense actually. Their understanding of surrounding will be entirely different compared to us. They recognize people through the smell or their sound of walking. You remember Mahabharata serial when Dhritarashtra And Dhritarashtra would hear the footsteps of people and he could recognize who is coming. He was blind. So Ketu has this intuitive power. And second thing is Ketu cannot think materially, because we think from our mind all the material things. Like there is a soul. We all are souls, as we read in Bhagavad Gita, that we are eternal. You know the shloka, Vasamsi jinani yatha vihai, navani grihnati naro parani, tatha sharirani vihai jinani, anyani sanyati navani dehi. Just as a person removes the old clothes and wears new clothes, similarly, the soul gives up the old body and accepts a new body. So we see that the soul is always inside, this body. And there are two kinds of coverings. One is called subtle covering, another is called gross covering. Gross body and subtle body. Gross body is made up of these 5 elements: earth, water, fire, and ether. And the subtle body is made up of 3 elements: mind, intelligence, and ego. So this mind, intelligence, and ego, they are our subtle body, basically. So the intuitive power of Ketu is directly connection with this subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. But this is more like spiritual side. It is not, it does not relate to material side of life. So Ketu is also called a sannyasi, a renounced person. So Ketu does not see the distinction of body and caste, creed, and all these external things. Ketu focuses on the renunciation part. Ketu focuses on the soul part. And if somebody has a very good Ketu, especially Ketu in 4, 8, and 12 house, you'll find these people are very much inclined towards spiritual side of life. They always have a tendency to renounce, because 4th house is your inner emotions. And when you have Ketu in 4th house, you'll find the people have a renounced worldview. They are not so attached to post, position, or anything for that matter. So in this case, what we are talking, now we got to know about Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu, they are always connected. As you know, they always move together. Throughout the horoscope, they keep moving. And they are always 180 degrees apart. And generally, which 2 houses come under the axis of Rahu and Ketu? We call this that these 2 houses are under Rahu Ketu axis. And there is going to be a lot of confusion. Rahu is totally materialistic side of life, and Ketu is totally spiritual side of life. If you compare, these 2 are always clubbed together. So what Rahu wants, Ketu wants to renounce. Ketu wants to get rid of everything material, because it touched the nectar. It got touched through Sudarshan Chakra. That is, Sudarshan Chakra is the power, potency of the Supreme Lord. And whenever Lord touches anyone, the person gets totally purified. In this case, Rahu got touched by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. So definitely some purification happened in Rahu. That part is Ketu. So in this case, we find that Rahu and Ketu, they make an axis where most of the life will be very confusing sometimes. There will be many ups and downs in those 2 houses. For example, when Rahu is in 1st house and Ketu is in 7th house, you will find the married life of person and his own personality. There is a lot of conflict in these 2 houses. If it is 6 and 12, you'll find that between health and hospital, always disease and hospital. There are always some connection. Or the person may be really very hard working person, and then there'll be always hard work, but expenditure will also be too much. There'll be some connection between these two houses of Rahu and Ketu. There'll be some relationship between these two houses. Now, when Jupiter and Rahu sit together, Jupiter, what is Jupiter? Jupiter is our knowledge. Jupiter is our, you'll find that Jupiter is also guru, the spiritual master in our life. It's wisdom. You'll find Jupiter also represents wealth. Now, when this Jupiter combines with Rahu, so one thing is Jupiter Rahu combination is called guru-chandal yoga. Why? Because Rahu has a doubting tendency. You'll find Rahu is very stubborn. You have seen the nature of Rahu. He was so courageous, so passionate, and he actually was determined to get this nectar. That focus to get the nectar was so intense that even this whole charade created by the Supreme Lord, he actually could surpass that. No other demon could do that. So Rahu is our focus. It's our meditation, our dhyan. So Rahu has that power. And when Rahu focuses, then Rahu goes into the details also by observation, and Rahu doubts everything. So whenever a person has a Jupiter Rahu combination, you'll find it's very difficult to make these people understand about something. Why? Because they doubt everything. They ask so many questions. And such people, if you are a guru of a person who has Jupiter Rahu combination, you are in trouble. Because they will not easily accept anything, whatever you say. They're going to test you to the limits. And mind me, this is very, very good quality. It actually makes a person very learned. Why? Because he goes into the details. He doesn't accept anything easily. He filters it through his own intelligence. He wants to get convinced. For that, he asks those genuine questions. And through his own observation, he actually gets hold of the actual wisdom which is there. So if a person with Jupiter Rahu combination is going on a spiritual path, you'll find these people are really, really intelligent preachers also. Because they are so convinced, they have studied it in so much details, and from all the angles they have questioned its authority, that now if you ask them any question, they have already analyzed it in their life. Because it's their tendency. You give them any work, they will go to the details, they will get the knowledge of that work, and then they will apply that knowledge. They will become really good teachers or preachers. A person with Guru Rahu combination, especially if you see the third house, which is the house of preaching, you'll find that such people are very good preachers. Guru in actually third house is itself a very good preacher, very good communicator, and he communicates his wisdom very easily. Hitler had this Jupiter in third house in Sagittarius sign. He could communicate and he could actually convince the people of Germany to a very, very perverted idea, But if it is on the right path, then because other combinations also matter. I've seen Jupiter Rahu combination in third house in Pisces sign. You'll find people are very, very wonderful preachers. They teach the wisdom. They teach renunciation, and they take people for the highest goal of moksha very easily. They communicate very powerfully. So Guru Rahu combination is not at all a bad combination. It's actually a blessing in disguise. But there is also a chance that you may commit an offense towards your guru, because there is a tendency to question your guru. There is a tendency to question any higher wisdom. There is a tendency to question all the traditional things, because a Jupiter Rahu combination person will not accept anything without questioning it. And in that course, it may so happen that they may offend their guru. So one who is having this Guru Rahu combination should not be afraid. He should be humble and submissive. And submissively, he should ask every doubt which he or she has. That is the key to decode this combination, to actually get the positive part of this combination. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. That means you should approach your guru in a very humble and submissive mood. And first you serve your guru, then ask the questions. And they will impart the truth to you because they have seen the truth. Tattvadarshi, they are Tattvadarshi. They have seen the truth. So now, people who have Jupiter Rahu combination, they should know that I have to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, you will suffer. If you don't ask questions, then also you may commit aparadh. Then also you may commit some offense. So question has to be asked, but the mood should be very humble. So this Jupiter Rahu combination is very good combination in the path of spirituality, or even in the path, any materialistic path also. If you are going to get knowledge in your college, then also this Jupiter Rahu combination will make you a very good student who can be a good critic also. Such Jupiter Rahu combination people can be really good critic of great people. Jupiter represents great people. So if somebody has Jupiter Rahu combination, they can actually they have the ability to question great people. They can be good. You can say even this editors or patrakar, those who actually question the authority, and they do investigative journalism. They couldn't be journalists, right? So this Jupiter Rahu combination is a blessing in disguise, but there is a downside also. There is a downside also. They should be careful not to derive the negative side of this Jupiter Rahu combination. Use it very carefully. Now, since Jupiter Rahu is also connected with wealth, these two planets both are kind of karaka of wealth. Jupiter is anyways karaka of wealth, and Rahu is co-lord of Aquarius sign, which is the sign of gains, salary, material gains, especially money. So this combination can increase your money manifold. You will not have any scarcity of money in your life, especially if this Jupiter Rahu combination has got some kind of connection with second house or 11th house or even 5th house, even in the 8th house. When when they will be directly aspecting the second house, or anywhere like 10th house. Now Jupiter Rahu combination in 10th house, Jupiter will be aspecting the second house, or it can be in 7th house also, directly aspecting the 11th house. So like this, these combinations can actually bring a lot of money. Jupiter is also your fat in your body, right? Now, in certain signs, this Jupiter can give you body fat. With Rahu, it can increase it many folds. If it is connected with 6th house, where the disease part is there, so it can give you diseases related to fatty liver, because Jupiter also, liver also it shows. Apart from that, main, like Jupiter is also guru. So you will find the people who have Jupiter Rahu combination, either they have a guru who is a foreigner, or who can be a foreigner, or may not be from the same caste. Of course, we should not see the caste of guru, but it's just the external part of Guru Rahu combination. They will not be from the same tradition in which you have come, because then Jupiter Rahu will give you guru in foreign land, or a guru from foreign land, or when you go to foreign land, you will be able to get association of your guru. So this is one thing. And Jupiter Rahu combination, whatever significations Jupiter has, or whatever significations Rahu has, both these planets are, like, Jupiter is one of the biggest planets in the system, in the cosmology, and Rahu also expands. So these two planets, when they are together, there is a tendency to expand the house in which they are sitting. So if they are sitting in your first house, you will find that your body may become fat, or a head may become bigger. Wherever fat is there in the body, that may become, first house is also your head, and Jupiter is your fat also. So in that sense, Jupiter Rahu combination will give you like whichever house they will be sitting, they will give some kind of expansion, some kind of sudden. But Rahu gives sudden things, sudden burst. Rahu is like balloon. It goes, and then suddenly if somebody pricks, it will blast. So sometimes suddenly there will be gains of money, because Jupiter is also money. So sudden gains, Jupiter Rahu combination can give. And Rahu is also, Rahu has the tendency to cheat, right? Rahu did a cheating there. These people can also cheat. They should be careful, because when you have wisdom and you understand other people's consciousness, psychology, then it's easy for you to cheat. I would say that Jupiter Rahu people should avoid cheating. They should be careful not to cheat others, because sometimes this Rahu's negative energy can come above your positive personality. So should be very careful not to cheat others, especially in the field of spirituality, especially in the field of astrology or other kinds of combinations related to giving knowledge to people. They should be careful, especially in certain signs where Rahu does not perform very well. Now, this Aquarius sign is a sign of Shani and Rahu, Saturn and Rahu, and it gives a kind of intoxication also, right? So it gives scandalous tendencies also. So in certain signs like this, there may be a cheating tendency, like in Aquarius sign, Jupiter Rahu combination. Jupiter also will not perform very well there, because person will be using his or her intelligence to cheat people. So such people should be careful. Rather than cheating others, better go towards positive side, focus on knowledge, meditate on knowledge, gain more and more knowledge. You can utilize this energy of Rahu to expand or gain more and more. So this knowledge you can gain as much as possible. Read as much as books possible. Rahu is also courage. So Jupiter Rahu combination, people will have a lot of courage in giving knowledge to people. That's why they can preach. And to gain knowledge, they can go to any extent. To gain spirituality, they can go to any extent. They can go to, they can become brahmacharis. They can take sannyas, because they are so courageous for spirituality. They want to do something bigger for spirituality. It's also kingdom. Jupiter also shows a kind of connection to kingdom, because Jupiter is advisor to king. So these people with Jupiter Rahu combination, they can get very close to the throne as advisors, and there will be really very, very good advisors, because that observational power is really strong. And if these people are included in government, or as ministers or counselors, advisors, so they can be good counselor, they can be good gurus also. But sometimes that tendency can come to cheat. But if they are not utilizing the negative part of this Rahu, then they will be very, very good, very expert in giving knowledge to people. So Guru Rahu combination, in this way, you will see it is wonderful combination for today's day and age. Jupiter also represents sometimes loss. Why? Because he's natural 12th house lord, right? You will find that whenever Jupiter Dasha comes, people tend to lose their jobs. Now, this Jupiter Rahu combination, it can give big losses also. It can give. Person can, because Jupiter is Pisces signs lord, so there will be some kind of material loss, not spiritual loss. It will be material loss. So in that way, you have to see this combination from the lens of scriptures, lens of the knowledge, what is given in our scriptures. In each and every sign, this will behave differently, because signs like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all these signs, they have their own ways of working. Whenever any planet goes in these signs, their tendencies will change. Like when Jupiter will go in Libra, then Jupiter does not perform very well, because it's the sign of his enemy. So Jupiter Rahu combination in Libra sign is not good for marriage. It's not good because of knowledge, there will be problems in marriage. Because of wisdom, there will be problems in marriage. Because of spirituality, there will be problems in marriage. There can be multiplicity because of this wisdom. If somebody is very, very intelligent, and then they'll, because of their intelligence, they may attract many opposite sex people. So every sign we have to study, and we have to study how Jupiter and Rahu perform in those signs. Then we can definitely correlate. Like Jupiter gets debilitated in Capricorn sign. Capricorn sign is very practical sign, and Jupiter is like dependence on God. Now Jupiter Rahu combination, now even Capricorn Jupiter is very good combination for gaining knowledge. Such people are really very intelligent people, and they are very humble. They do not talk or boast about their knowledge. But here Jupiter Rahu can give some kind of pride also, because Rahu gives that pride and self-centeredness. Then Jupiter Rahu combination in this kind of sign will give a lot of self-centeredness because of knowledge. The person can become really proud. I am so intelligent. Nobody is more intelligent than me. One has to be careful if you have such combination. Jupiter Rahu in Sagittarius sign. Sagittarius fiery sign. Now there, this fire of knowledge can expand like anything. The person will be too much into gaining knowledge. Go to foreign land and get knowledge, some degrees from foreign land, higher degrees, MS or postdoc or this kind of. And there is a fire to fight, argue about religion, because it's fiery sign, and Jupiter gets the flag of religion in his hand. And with Rahu, which has a lot of courage, and Rahu is erratic, Rahu is just like, so doesn't fear. Rahu doesn't fear at all. Rahu has to fight. So Rahu can just fight for religion. Maybe right, maybe wrong, it depends. Again, what other effects are there, but one has to be careful not to fight too much or go become a very, very radical in religion, what we say, cutter. Jupiter Rahu in Scorpio, again this combination can be a little tricky because Rahu doesn't perform well in Scorpio, but Jupiter performs good. Jupiter generally gives a very, very deep spiritual thinking. So there'll be a lot of confusion in person's mind. What should I do? Sometimes he will go towards spirituality and suddenly leave it. Suddenly he'll feel like having more materialistic thoughts. I mean materialistic desires. And to fulfill those desires, he will go to any extent. The mind, the wisdom will also start working towards that direction. And somebody can actually, in the spiritual circles, somebody can get into illicit relationships, where you go for satsang program, you find some boy or girl and start a illicit relationship. So one has to be careful with this combination. It can be tricky. Somebody can utilize the positive part of Rahu in this and really meditate or go into Kundalini and all deep tantric studies also. This is because this is a sign of Tantra also. So person can really go deeper in the dark practices also. One has to be careful here. I mean, in whatever sign you take, there will be positive and there will be negative. So person has to be careful. Person has to also utilize the positive side and gain more and more benefit of this combination. In Taurus sign, Jupiter is not very happy in Taurus sign because it's the sign of his enemy, but Rahu is happy. Generally, Rahu, Mars, Saturn, these kind of planets in Taurus, they give good wealth. Taurus, the sign of resources. And then Jupiter there. So with your knowledge, with your information, with your wisdom, you'll be able to gain a lot of material wealth. Jupiter Rahu in 4th house, if you take, 4th house or Cancer sign, if you take. So what happens? 4th, where Jupiter gets exalted and Rahu is there. You know, there is one theory, one theorem where Ketu is actually flag, right? And if Ketu is sitting with any exalted planet, then Ketu increases the result of that planet many folds, because Ketu is flag. When you put flag, when you conquer something, then you put flag on the top. Now Jupiter Rahu in 4th house or in Cancer sign, mother can be really very, very intelligent person, but sometimes she will utilize her intelligence for all negative things. Person can leave the place, leave motherland, go to some foreign place. Person will purchase big, big houses, big, big properties, big, big cars, big brands, Mercedes and Lamborghini, whatnot, will be able to purchase. Good properties, they will be able to purchase. But sometimes in heart, they will feel emptiness. Sometimes they will feel like cheating people. They'll feel like having really revenge mentality. How can this person do this to me? How can somebody talk to me like that? Because exalted planet also gives you a lot of pride. So Jupiter Rahu in 4th house, again, you should be careful. There will be so many material things which you will gain. You will gain a lot of knowledge also. You will be having knowledge of maybe a lot of material knowledge or even knowledge of psychology. How to cure the mentality of people. You'll have this knowledge, and this you can misutilize also. It's like knife. Knife in the hand of a murderer can kill somebody, and in the hand of a doctor can save somebody's life. So Jupiter Rahu combination is that kind of tricky combination. In 5th house, Jupiter is Karaka of Sun. Definitely there will be a Sun, because Rahu will definitely give that. Along, I mean Jupiter and Rahu, this combination. Sometimes you'll find that Jupiter, whenever Jupiter is sitting in its where he is the significator of whichever house, if he is sitting there, you'll find problems related to that house. But at least Rahu will not let that happen. Rahu will give that. Rahu has the tendency to give. Jupiter gives more tendency to depend on God. Sometimes Jupiter does not give you something so that you depend on God more and more. You go to God, you pray to God. So Jupiter wants that. And after so many prayers, then he'll give. Or he may not give also sometimes. But the goal is he wants to take you towards bhakti, towards devotion, towards surrendering to God. So Jupiter Rahu can actually give, in 5th house, it can give wealth also. It's the house of Puru Punya. I'm talking about 5th house or Leo sign, both. Simhastha Guru, marriages don't happen during that time. Simhastha Guru. But Simhastha Guru is very good for spirituality or auspicious spiritual practices, basically. So Jupiter Rahu combination in Leo is also a very good combination. So Puru Punyas are mixed here. Rahu Rahu is like in enemy sign, and Jupiter is in friendly sign there. So here Jupiter is like more powerful, more beneficial. We'll try, except for certain things, like its own karakatva. Sometimes it will not give you the things of his own karakatva. But if a person is doing good karma, if a person is doing pious karma, then this person will reap the benefits of this combination. Jupiter Rahu in Virgo or sixth house. Now, this combination also can be tricky. I think we had discussed it. But Rahu is really courageous. In sixth house gives a lot of hard work to person. Person has to take care of health first of all. Fat problems and all these kind of diseases person has to take care. But person will work very hard for knowledge, for spreading knowledge or gaining knowledge. He will really do the hard work. So this is analysis of Jupiter Rahu combination in different different houses or different signs. I think you hope you all like it. You will like it. So we'll meet again with any other, some other nice combination, and we'll discuss about it. Hare Krishna.